Drilling some holes here in some sugar maple trees here in mid-March to get some sap to cook down in an evaporator pan to make maple syrup. We need 40 gallons of sap from these trees to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. So it definitely takes some cooking down and a lot of volume of sap, but it's really delicious and it's really flowing well today. So I'm going to drill another hole here and stick a tap in here with a bucket on it.
Okay.
Now, if you come in closer, you might actually be able to see some sap starting to flow. Yep, there it comes. They're really flowing.
Is that it? The white clear stuff?
Yeah, the clear liquid. It's like water.
It's like water, guys.
You can drink it. There's actually companies that bottle it like bottled water now. So this is the spout that goes in, and there's a little hole right here that the sap will push up through once it's a tight fit. And now you should see it starting to drip. There it comes. That's really flowing. Now we're going to hang the pail right from the hook. This is our friend's tree across the street, and this is where the alewives run behind us. In another month, they'll come up into the Walker Pond to spawn from the ocean. And there was an old mill here many years ago, but right now we're going to put the cover on, and we'll come back here tomorrow morning, and this will be full. Actually, it'll probably be full by tonight.
Okay.
So we've got about 2/3 of a bucket in about 24 hours, but I think we have a slow production because you can see here, I think I did not get the tap in tight enough to, so there's some leakage around the tap. So I think we're losing a little bit of our sap. We started out making maple syrup at our farm in northeastern Pennsylvania around 15 years ago. We initially tapped the 3 old sugar maple trees that formed the property line between our barn and farmhouse. From these taps, we suspended 2.5 gallon buckets to collect the sap. A few years later, we discovered a grouping of about 15 sugar maple trees, or sugar bush, on our northeasterly facing hillside. We were able to tap into these with food-grade plastic tubing and run the main feeder line down the hill behind our barn and into a 50-gallon food-grade barrel. From here, we transferred the sap into our evaporator pan, which sat atop a rectangular stone fire pit which I had built. We were able to produce several quarts of syrup each year. 2/3 of maple syrup is sucrose, so it is high in sugar, but it is a healthier, slower release form of sugar. The glycemic index of maple syrup is around 54. In comparison, table sugar has a glycemic index of around 65. Maple syrup is high in zinc at 28% and also very high in manganese at 165%. 80% of the world's supply comes from eastern Canada, in particular the province of Quebec. Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, and the upper Midwest also produce a good amount. Our original setup for making maple syrup was utilizing a large cast iron cauldron I had bought years ago on eBay. We still have this and use it over at our disc golf course for events. And just hold it pour it in, it doesn't spill. There you go. You can see it's got a little bit of a, if you taste it, it'll taste like, it'll have a little bit of sweetness to it.
Is it good? Delicious.
Okay. It's kind of good.
Okay.
When you find an old tire in the woods on your land, you make a swing for your kids, right? And you send the little woman up there on the ladder to tie off the rope. I think as it warmed up last night, it's slowing down. It likes the warm days and going below freezing at night. It didn't go below freezing last night. So best temperatures are like 20s at night, 40s in the day. Mike, I need that rock, buddy. We're going to tap these taps in a little further so we get a tighter fit. And these covers just keep falling debris or insects out. Mike hung it. Something happened. I don't know what he did. It wasn't hung on there right. He didn't have the nail at an angle at all. We're now pouring the sap into the evaporator pan, and these evaporator pans are really awesome. They're stainless and They have a valve to allow your finished product to come out the one end, and also what they do is they spread out the liquid over a larger surface area so that it evaporates a lot quicker. I've done this in just a big old cauldron, and it's a much slower process. So you want to spread your sap out, and you'll see in a little while this will really start steaming, and it cooks it down much more quickly.
Always make sure it's closed or your sap will drain right out. Looks like water.
Yeah. 40 to 1. 40 parts water, 1 part syrup. You can see this is really steaming now. We've got a good fire underneath. And it's really cooking in perfectly right now. So the level of the water you can see is getting quite low. So probably be another hour and this will be pretty much cooked down. But I can actually just add more sap to it and just keep it going, which is what I'll probably do. We didn't have a whole lot of sap to start with here today.
Okay, it's starting to boil down. And that dark spot, we accidentally burnt it last time when we were cooking it down. We stepped away from it and it got burnt. But you see how the clear sap is starting to brown up. And what's evaporating is the water from the sap. Maple syrup. And because it's hot, it won't be thick. It'll thicken up as it cools down.
You can tell how when I'm moving this around, the consistency is pretty thick because it's the way it's moving in the pot. So this may not need to be cooked down much more at all on the stove. The idea is to get it as close as you can without overdoing it. It'll turn to maple candy if you go too long. And there is something called a hygrometer, I think it's called, that you can put in there to tell you, it's something about the specific gravity, tells you when to stop cooking. But I got pretty confused by that device years ago and I don't use it anymore. So I kind of been able to just get it really close by looking at it and then finishing it on the stove if I need to.
So we went ahead and boiled down the sap on the stove even more, and this is what's left. We haven't tasted it, haven't used it on pancakes, making pancakes today, and trying it out. So I hope this has helped anyone with maple syrup making, and thanks for watching.
How many gallons of sap does it take to make 1 gallon of syrup?
Maybe like 3 gallons.
3? That's it. Look how diluted that is. You got to boil that down a lot. Try again.
5.
40 to 1. You need 40. You need 8 pails of this to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. That's why it's expensive. And it takes a lot of energy to cook all that down, right? A lot of wood or gas, whatever you're burning to heat the sap.